Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 7 p.m. Let me call to order the Merrimack Planning Board meeting for Tuesday, March 15th. Let me remind everyone to please sign in, make sure the microphone's turned on, speak clearly into it. Our next Planning Board meeting will be April 5th, 2016, 7 p.m. in the Matthew Thornton room. With that, brings us to, we do not need to designate any alternates because we got a full board tonight, and we're at Planning and Zoning Administrator's Report. Tim?
I have nothing this evening.
Any questions for the staff by members of the board? Seeing none, that brings us to item 3 on our agenda, which is Pennachuck Waterworks Incorporated as the applicant and Southwood Corporation as the owner. Review for acceptance and consideration of final approval of a modification to a previously approved site plan to construct a 36,560 square foot water distribution facility. The parcel is located at 16 Daniel Webster Highway and Manchester Street in the I-1 Industrial Aquifer Conservation Districts and the 100 and 500 year flood hazard areas. Tax map 1D, lot 1. Tim, what do we need to know before we hear from the applicant?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. If you may recall, this was back in front of you back in October of 2015 for the original approval, which was signed by the board back on January 19th. The proposal before you tonight is relatively straightforward and simple. It's to add an additional 4,260 square feet to what was originally proposed for the water distribution facility. I'm sure that the applicant explained why the addition is coming forth now, but as we understand it, the bid prices for the construction came in lower than expected. This additional square footage was part of the original plan for the site, but now that that money is available again, given the bid prices, they're able to put this back into the program, and as such, they're back in front of you tonight. Again, because this is a modification to the previous approval, there's really no need to accept the application. It's already gone through that process. The waivers have already been granted. We have a couple of relatively minor conditions of approval that we suggest here tonight, and as I understand it, they've also received their updated AOT permit from the state.
Thank you, Tim. Jim?
Mr. Chairman, good evening, members of the board. My name for the record is Jim Petropoulos, civil engineer with Hayner Swanson, and with me tonight is Don Ware, the chief operating officer of Pennachuck Waterworks. And Tim did such a wonderful job.
Yep. Touch the button to make sure you're on.
I think I'm on, yes.
Or bring it closer to you.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Get in the wave over your shoulder that says they couldn't hear you.
Okay, great. Tim did an outstanding job. That's really the project in a nutshell. I'll take about 2 seconds just to walk through it. The property is the recently subdivided property, 7.5 acres, Daniel Webster Highway here, the Nashua Merrimack border here in the southeast corner of Merrimack. We are in the I-1 industrial zone. And as Tim said, in October, we were before you for the subdivision and also the detail in the site plan in much greater detail. Pennachuck has operated their distribution and their operations building on Will Street in Nashua since 1966. At the time, there were 11,000 customers. They now have about 45,000 customers. So that facility is due for an improvement, and it is to be performed here on this subject site. As Tim mentioned, we are really seeking just an addition, a small little, about a 35 by 82 bump out on the building. And also, if you may recall, on the north side of the building, we had an open-air canopy to house some of the vehicular equipment for Pennachuck. On the north side, that canopy will be extended slightly as well. So it's a very simple expansion, no new parking needed. We have plenty of parking for the site. The expansion took place primarily over what was used to be paved area, so there's no new increase in stormwater, although we've checked our stormwater calculations. So it's about as straightforward as you can get. As Tim mentioned, we've updated some of our permits. I don't know if you've been by the site. Pennachuck started yesterday, I think. In fact, the site has recently been tree cleared, and if you go by there, you'll see construction commencing. That's not that they were presumptuous about this evening's outcome, but believe it or not, they have to start now in order to get the building in by this time at the end of the year. I'm just going to quickly show you the elevation. Because Desiree is here. It just carries forth all the same elements that we had in the previous plan. You can see this is the elevation, the east elevation. It's just an expansion here. I've kind of clouded it in red. And then as you're facing the overhead canopy, it's just a slight expansion over here. over here to the left. So that's really my presentation, Don. I don't know if you have anything you'd like to offer to the board.
No, I think everything has been covered.
Well, thank you, Jim. Does the board have any questions before taking up the question of completeness? What's the will of the board on completeness?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept that this application is complete to enable us to enter into discussion with the applicant.
Is there a second for that motion?
Second.
Second by Desiree. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? 700 for completeness. The staff's memo has indicated that we've previously granted waivers, and their suggestion is that these be previously granted be made part of the approval of the site plan. Tim, does that require a vote, or is that going to be automatic?
It
as a
does
part of
not.
this?
Unless
Okay.
unless you feel otherwise on those waivers, there's no need to take them up again.
Okay. And there are no new waiver requests. The staff's recommendations that the planning board grant conditional final approval subject to the conditions and provisions in their memo. Is there any discussion for the applicant before we take up that question?
I'm just amused by Tim. Sorry, Jim. I'm just amused by Tim's description that it was originally cut out and put and now being put back. I just wonder if it isn't typical of government in the largest sense of the word. Spend it or lose it. But never mind. I'm not getting into that. That was my answer when I read this. I thought, yeah, spend it or lose it.
All right. Any other discussion for the applicant? What's the will of the board with respect to final disposition of this
You
proposal?
do technically still need to go to the public.
You didn't write that in here. Is there anybody in the public that wish to weigh in? Jim, can you make room for that guy behind you right there? You know, the folks, what was the town that made the news because their conservation commission met by themselves? We do that all the time. Nobody puts us on the news. All right, we'll close the public hearing since nobody's coming forward. Now what's the will of the board with respect
Chairman,
to
I make a
final
motion
disposition?
that we grant final approval of the amended project.
Subject to the staff
Subject
memo?
to all the previous conditions and the additional notes that was provided by Mr. Thompson in his memo of March the 8th.
Is there a second? Second by Lynn Christensen. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? 700. Gentlemen, thank you for coming in, making your presentation. That brings us to item 4 on our agenda, which is discussion and possible action regarding other items of concern. I do not have any. Does anyone else have any items of concern to discuss? Seeing none. Oh, Tom, there we go.
Yeah, this morning there was a notice posted on the town's website regarding the public meeting with New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services and the Merrimack Village District to go over the results of the well testing that they've been engaged in for the last 2 weeks. It'll be at the Mastrocola Elementary School, not the upper elementary, the elementary school, as that was about the only large facility that was available that evening.
What day is the
It's a Wednesday.
23rd of
March.
March?
sorry.
23rd of March. Okay.
And you can go to the same meeting in Litchfield the following night.
Yeah.
A week tomorrow. Okay. What time, Tom?
7 o'clock.
7 p.m. Thank you for that. 7 p.m. a week from tomorrow at the Mastrocola Elementary, not the upper elementary. Got it? I did it all right? Thanks.
Yes.
Any other comments or questions? Any other items of concern for discussion? Mike, did I see you leaning forward? Or?
He stole my thunder.
Stole your thunder. All right. Good job. There being none others, we are at item 5 on our agenda, which is approval of the minutes of March 1st, 2016. What's the will of the board?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as written.
Desiree moves approval as written. Is there a second? Sure. Second by Lynn Christensen. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? 700 to pass the minutes of March 1st, 2016. That brings us to item 6 on our agenda, which is to adjourn.
I make the motion to adjourn, which Lynn Christensen will second.
Second by Ms. Christensen. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? 700. We are adjourned. Thank you very much. Don't forget to turn your